So what are the risk factors, right? What happens when something goes wrong? It could end up in the newspaper, right? That's something that we've all experienced from time to time. Hopefully it's none of our respective institutions, but it happens. It's a huge, huge eye-opener. But in terms of the slide here, one of the things that can happen is withholding of future funding of awards, right? So you have your audits, and our federal sponsors are being diligent in seeing what's happening. Was there any impact with regards to funds that they issue to your university? And if so, should they be more restrictive going forward? Audit findings and cost disallowance, right? So if they come across something that is obviously concerning, there's going to be a level of audit to determine, if there's materiality that ultimately will result in a finding. That could be something that occurs. Loss of administrative flexibility. So in the event you are found to have had compliance issues, there could be a mod issue that requires additional administrative burden, right? So you've proven that you're incapable of managing this award in accordance to the terms and conditions that were initially issued. But they're not giving up on us, right? They still believe in the research that's being done. So we're going to place a higher level of scrutiny, which requires some additional administrative reassurance for you as an institution to maintain this award, right? Loss of administrative flexibility, I just covered. And then last but not least, which I first started with because I couldn't help myself, criminal, civil, and administrative penalties, right? So there's an example that occurred in the news a couple months ago. I believe you guys may have used it in one of your workshops as a scenario. I may or may not have used it in one of my sessions as a scenario. But again, it's just something that we want to be mindful of. We have the responsibility of managing these funds in a responsible way.
I think, there's several examples and several reports. These audit findings and disallowances are very public. People do go to jail. I have been at an institution where that happened. And so, it's not just, the optics. And there's a real responsibility here, and there are consequences that go beyond financial if there's found to be gross mismanagement of these funds. So these types of information that we're giving out, it's to be passed down because ultimately our principal investigators are the official stewards of these awards, but it is university funds. So we want to make sure that they are equipped with the information that they need to make the proper decisions when they're expending on those awards.
I was so nervous when I submitted my first financial report that if it was late or if there was one grammatical error, that I was potentially going to get a call from the FBI, right? I had no experience, I had no context. And back then, the information for me at that point just wasn't as crystal clear. So I was a nervous Nilly, right? If I do something wrong, what's going to happen? So obviously now, 14 years removed, a lot more experience, you kind of have a better understanding what role you play in the overall process. But again, in worst case scenario, there could be penalties such as that. Yeah. So something to be mindful of.
But nothing gets the attention of a faculty member, like some notification from a sponsor saying that they're going to withhold future funding or a future award. They absolutely do not like that, and it will escalate very quickly in your university. So you usually see that when some sort of reporting has been or hasn't been submitted or submitted late. That definitely gets the attention of your researchers.
And it goes beyond just that principal investigator. If you have a lot of NSF funding and you have one principal investigator who never gets their reports in on time, who never, is not meeting the requirements of their award, they could withhold all NSF funding from the entire institution. So when he says it escalates quickly, it can escalate very quickly in order to get back in compliance.
Yeah, you want to address those root causes as quickly as possible.